So I just want to answer a few questions, kind of give you a little update on some things that I've been asked, and I just instead of typing out in the comments explanations, I'll answer a couple of a few questions that stood out to me, not just questions but suggestions that were made to me. One of the things I had recently spoke about was I had mentioned a car accident I was in as a passenger when I was just 1 month before my 14th birthday. I was in my dad's Volkswagen van. I was sitting in the back of the van, and we were rear-ended on the freeway. And I had mentioned how I went backwards out the window of the van, the rear windshield of the van, if you will. But it's not a windshield, of course, but the rear window of the van. You know, it had this little door that you could open. It comes up, then you close it on an old VW, and there's a glass window there, and I went through it. And so what happened was I busted up my skull, fractured it really into pieces in the back. I had broken my eyebrow bone here. A few of my teeth got fractured and broken in half in the back. And I'm still dealing with that pain today, you know, from having my teeth fractured. And then, you know, the cold drinks and all that makes it sensitive. Also, I had broken my chin. I hurt my back really bad today. I still feel the effects of that. I have knots all over my head from the accident. So somebody asked how it was possible that if a car hit me from behind, how did I go backwards? How did I fly backward if I was hit from behind? So that's a good question. The answer is I was knocked out. I don't remember any of it. My dad was in the front of the van. He didn't see what happened because he said the van went straight up in the air. So if my fingertips right here were the nose of the van, the front of the van, he said the van went up in the air, and he said suddenly he could see the road right in front of him. And he said it felt like slow motion, and suddenly the van went down again, okay? Boom, it hits the ground. What I think might have happened if I were to picture this whole thing is my dad, okay, so there were no seats in the back of the Volkswagen van. He removed all of the seats from the van. He was a mobile mechanic at the time. And so he drove to people's homes to work on their cars. And the van, he put a big toolbox, a big toolbox in the back of the van and had it mounted back there. And the toolbox would have sat behind him and the passenger side in the center of the van. And that's why he removed all the seats out of there to make room for that toolbox. So what I was sitting on in the back of the van was a metal hump where there used to be a seat back there, but he removed it, so now it was just a metal hump, and I had no seatbelt on or anything. I think when we got hit from behind, I think it threw me forward, and that might be how I crushed my eyebrow bone and broke my chin. Was maybe my face smashed into his toolbox, and you know, maybe that's how I broke my teeth too. I don't know. But then when the van went down, when it fell back down again, it threw me through the windshield, the rear windshield of the van. People that were onlookers that were on the freeway said that they saw a boy go flying through the glass, the rear glass of the rear windshield of the Volkswagen van, and that I had landed on the other guy's windshield and then rolled off of his car onto the ground. And it looked like the Volkswagen van came down and smashed me because I rolled under the van. Now, I don't have no idea if I got smashed anywhere else from that impact or not, but that's how they saw it. That's what the people that witnessed saw it. And that's all I know about that. So to answer the guy's question, how did I go backward? That's probably how I went backwards. The next thing I had mentioned was, something else I mentioned was about my car, that I thought I was donating my 1996 Nissan Maxima. Good body, clean car, very well taken care of. The woman I had bought it off, man, she loved that car, and she took such good care of it. So when I bought it off of her, she was the original owner, and she had a hard time giving it up. And it was low miles. I bought it when it was 110,000 miles a few years back, maybe 5 years ago or so, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And I didn't put many miles on it, so it was right at like 140,000 when I heard from a friend of mine that his wife's brother-in-law was in need of a car. He didn't have a car, and his wife had left him, and he had his children to take care of, and he was a clerk at a grocery store, and he wasn't making much money, and he made it sound like the guy had to pay for an Uber ride every day back and forth to work. So, and this friend of mine that told me about it had done so much for me through my life. I mean, he had gifted me financially. I can't tell you how many times. Even when he'd come in and get a haircut, he would give me $100 tip, cash, bam, put it on my counter for me all the time. And then years ago, I had a different car, and it had broken down, and while it was getting repaired, he didn't loan me a car. He actually gave me a car. They had this old Toyota Camry. I think it was a 96 as well, but it had like 300,000 or close to 300,000 miles on it. But he kept it really well maintained with his mechanic and all that, so that he gave it to me for free. So when he tells me about this situation with his brother-in-law, and do I know anybody that has a used car? And I'm like, I do. And he's like, well, I'll pay whatever, And I said, you know what, dude, I want to be able to do what you did for me years ago. I said, because I never have forgotten about that. And so I gave it to my friend to give to his wife's brother-in-law. So I gave it to him as a gift. And, I never heard back from him. He usually gets a haircut every 5 or 6 weeks or so. So I never heard if his brother-in-law liked the car. He never called me, said anything about it, I wonder if he liked it, But anyway, when I did see my friend again, when I was cutting his hair, he says, hey, did I tell you about the car, by the way? And I said, no, I never got to hear about it. Did he like it? And he says, oh, well, and he was about to tell me what happened, and his wife came over and said he didn't need a car. He has like 3 of them. One wasn't running right, but he had 2 other ones. And so they decided to give it to one of their sons. Has a friend that drives a car with a loud muffler. And they said that muffler is just so noisy, so they gave him my car. Hey, you want another car? It's quieter. So they gave it to him. And, the value of my car, I knew what the value. Used cars are going for pretty good money right now. My mechanic told me don't ever get rid of the car, but I just thought it was the right thing to do. And I felt it in my heart. But there's a lot of people that are suggesting that I go to him and say, hey, I need my car, because I had some things happen to another car of mine. Somebody smashed into it and didn't leave a note on it. And then in a car I had purchased recently, an SUV, and the sunroof leaks water all over the place, and it flooded my car recently when it was raining, and now the carpet's all mildewy and stinky, and I'm trying to dry it out, and it's been a pain, and it's going to cost me a lot of money to fix those things. So people are suggesting, tell your friend you want the car back, that it wasn't right, so that you can get money for it and fix your stuff. Listen, you guys, here's how I feel about it. Let's say the Lord puts it in your heart to give a homeless guy sitting there at the side of the road with a sign in his hand. He wants money. Now, a lot of people are figuring he wants it to buy alcohol or drugs or both. But let's say you actually have an inner prompting, and maybe it's your feelings, maybe it's your emotions, maybe it's God. You're not quite sure what it is. But you give to the guy. Now, this happened to me a while back, 2016. I was eating lunch with some friends, a big group of Christians. We had just gotten out of church together and went and had some lunch together at some Mexican food restaurant. And we were sitting outside, and there was a guy that walks by, and he says, "Excuse me, please, I'm really hungry. Can any of you help me?" And everybody ignored him. And I said, "Well, hey, man, this place," I got up and I walked up to him. I said, "This place has great burritos." I said, "You know what? Here's some money." I gave him like 10 something, maybe 20. I said, "Go buy yourself a burrito. They're great." And he says, "Oh, thank you very much." He takes the money, walks on by, walks into this liquor store and buys a bottle of booze because he came walking out with a brown paper bag in his hands. And everybody laughed at me and made fun of me. Ha ha. But nobody even looked at him. They ignored him. And I was the only one. They'd say I was a sucker. To this day, I don't regret the decision I made. And I didn't feel like a sucker. And I was kind of shocked. I was surprised that nobody would even look at him or even consider maybe the guy is hungry. Maybe he has needs. I don't know. But they all ignored it. Maybe they're more in tune to the Holy Spirit than I was. And the Spirit says no right away. Who knows? So speaking of my car, I don't know if you can see this silver SUV in the background. That's my truck there. I have been letting it sit on the road for a while. Every day I go and I open the windows, all the 4 windows of it, and I open the sunroof, hoping that nobody will try to break in and steal it, but I'm trying to air it out while I'm gone. Let the sun do its thing, but since I'm home from work now, I got to go close everything up, so I don't want to leave it left open overnight. So I'm going to go do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I took care of it. So that's what my stance about my my car. I'm not going to regret my decision, but it did bum me out because I thought it was going for a different cause than what it was. But you know what? Here's the thing, you guys. You never know. What if that car, without his knowledge, the kid that owns it now, what if that car actually had saved his life? And what I mean by that is, let's say he was driving his other car one day instead of my car. Let's say he took it somewhere and maybe something happened, an accident because of that car. Maybe it didn't handle right or whatever. And he would have crashed, got hurt somebody else, himself. You never know. I think about these things, right? That guy that said he was very, very hungry at the restaurant and went and bought alcohol instead of a burrito. Do you know there are people that, have you ever heard of getting the DTs? People that are alcoholics, if they haven't had alcohol, I mean severe alcoholics. We're talking alcoholics that are drunks. All day, every day, alcohol. And then if they go without alcohol, they start getting the shakes and it gets so bad that they could die. And the best cure for them is actually giving them more alcohol. Takes it away. What if that homeless or bum or whatever you want to call him, what if that guy, you could say you were enabling him, but what if that was prompted by God? So you just never know. You never know. I don't want to live with regrets. Even if I do look at the past and see about all the stupid, foolish decisions I've made, I don't want to regret. I want to learn from the stuff I've done. I have the ability to introspect, and I can beat myself up more than anybody. But living with regrets isn't going to help me, right? I do have sorrows for things. But whatever those things led to, how they led to, maybe I would have a better life today if I would have made better decisions, right? But here I am, and I can't change the past. So if I live with regrets, wishing I could change the past, what's it going to do for me when I can't rewind time and change the past? Because it has passed. That's why it's called past. It's past. The last thing I want to talk about and share with you is I had recently mentioned how today is Saturday. Last Friday, which would be eight days ago, I was in the gym working out, and I started having severe pain in my chest, really bad. And it felt like I got shot in the heart by a bullet. And it felt like that bullet traveled through my heart, took a left turn, and traveled through my heart, hit my back, went through my back, but came back into me, and took a left turn and went into my shoulder area and tore everything up in there, and then traveled a little bit into my arm and just all that pain. And it was so excruciating that it felt like a heart attack. I mean, it felt like what I thought what a heart attack would feel like if I were to assume. And when I looked online, I had 10 out of 10 symptoms of a heart attack. The one thing that might not have matched so well is they say you might experience pain or numbness in your left arm. I didn't have numbness, but I most definitely had pain. So Friday that happens, and I told you guys about it, and I told you that I was ready to go. I didn't want to go to a hospital. I spent much of my childhood in a hospital, and the truth is, you guys, it's not that I am going to do something to make myself go, but I really am ready, and I don't really like it here anymore. I don't think I ever really did. When experiencing the things I have in life and all that, I don't call it life. It feels like death. And, even though, I love God and I love to help people and that type of thing, but I'm ready to go. I want to go. So I was at peace within. I was really at peace thinking that this was the end of me. The only thing that sucked was I thought, this hurts. I'm suffering to death. Man, this is so painful. So that was Friday. Then Saturday came, then Sunday came, and I missed a whole bunch of work. And anyway, Sunday, I'm getting all these messages from people, happy Easter, happy Resurrection Sunday. And, my roommates, they had their son was over, their daughter, her fiance, everybody was at our place. It was noisy every single night at my place. Their son, who's 24, man, that guy, he parties so hard. It's like a frat house at my place when he visits. And I'm like, what are the chances that and I can't sleep from not only the pain but from all the noise. This guy likes to go till like 3 a.m, and it's drinking and partying and loud, and I can't say anything. I've said stuff before, and all it does is causes problems. Everybody suddenly, they just get offended, and I try to do it no matter how I present it. It's just, so I just shut up. But anyway, Sunday morning, everybody was gone. They were doing the Easter stuff, and the pain shot through me again so bad. And I'm like, oh. And I hadn't slept for 2 nights, right? Friday night, I didn't sleep. Saturday night, I didn't sleep. Sunday morning, and I fall to my knees on my floor, and I'm like, this is it. And I'm so sure this is it. I'm going to die. And so I called a friend of mine that watches me here on YouTube, Mike. Mike has been such a blessing to me in my life. Somebody that's really, he prays for me a lot, and he's given so much to me, and he even financially sends me gifts every month, him and his wife, and I don't ask for it, but I'm just so humbled by it. And he writes me letters, and just been an amazing friend. So I thought I'm gonna call Mike. I could use prayer right now, but Mike didn't answer. It went to his voicemail, and I felt like a jerk calling on a holiday, of course. So I just let him know. I said, hey, I'm not sure if I'll be talking to you again, if you'll hear from me again, because I think I might be having a heart attack. I'm not sure, man. And I'm not going to call 911. I don't want to call that. And I'm not going to pay for an ambulance. I have health insurance, but I'm not paying for an ambulance. I've got one of those health insurances that's, affordable California care health insurance. It's a joke. It's just to make it legal, that I'm legally insured. But anyway, I left Mike a message and wanted to know I've cared for him and all that. And maybe I'll see him in the next life. I don't know. I just wasn't sure. And eventually he did call back, and it was so hard for me to talk because I was in so much pain. But my roommates, they're with their kids, and one of them came home. Judy did, and what they have is they have this EKG reader. They have blood pressure things, the things you put around your arm and it pumps up and takes your blood pressure and your pulse and all that. Well, so she got on it and checked me, and my blood pressure was sky high. It was in the red zone, and my pulse was more than double than what it should be. But my EKG read normal, and it did on Friday as well. Which made them think maybe I wasn't having a heart attack. Kevin thought maybe I was having a panic attack for some reason, but I was in so much pain, you guys. And so anyhow, I suddenly had the thought that maybe I should put ice on it. And so I put a block of ice on my chest, and I put one on my shoulder, and I went to bed and I laid down. And I was taking ibuprofen at the time too, which it didn't help at all. Nothing changed in the pain anyway. But when I laid there for about a half hour with the ice, that crazy pain started to diminish a little bit, little by little. And I was getting shocked because I thought it wasn't going to go away. It was at a level, if you could go between 1 and 10 or 0 to 10, if you could go beyond 10, because it was just at a level I just couldn't imagine people could bear with. It was crazy. And I have a high pain tolerance, and this pain was so bad that I physically, as an adult male, which I never cry from pain ever, not physical, I'll cry from emotional pain but not physical. I had actually cried, not like not like that, but just like tears started coming out of my eyes. I was just in so much pain, and I felt tears coming out. I knew I was crying. So I was laying in bed, and I had ice on me, and it seemed to help. So I finally went to sleep, and Judy had something to help you sleep, a prescription. So I took it, and it did help a little bit, but I did wake up every couple hours or so, maybe hour and a half. And the pain was back, and I'd go downstairs, go in the freezer, get those ice blocks, put them back on me. The pain would go away. Then I'd go to sleep, wake up, go do the same thing over and over. And I actually have this thing in the car with me that I bring with me because I have to work. And in between appointments, I've got a thing of ice, which is now melted, and another one, which is melted. And then I have another one over here. I put it in a bag. Sorry, it had melted already, and I didn't want it to get drippy, so I put it in a bag down on the floor. But anyway, so I have 3 ice blocks I brought with me, and one I put down here, one I put here, and one I put on my chest. So in between every haircut appointment I do, I've been icing myself, and it's been helping. And anyhow, but I did get myself checked out. And do you know what I did? So about 3 years ago, give or take, I tore my labrum in my shoulder. So how I was explained what a labrum is so embarrassing. I talked about it in a video years ago, and I accidentally said I tore my labia. I said the word labia, and people were laughing about it. We think you meant your labrum. And when I looked up what labia was, I felt so stupid. I'm like, oh my God. Oh, I'm like, how embarrassing, but it is what it is. So, but what a labrum is, how it's been explained to me. So let's say here's your shoulder, and here's you've got your rotator cuff and all that, and your shoulder goes into this socket, and there's this kind of a thin layer of tissue that's kind of like a suction cup, suction cups. It's kind of something like that, I guess, which holds the ball of your shoulder into this whole socket thing, and keeps it connected. And what happened was gosh, that sun's right in my face. I had peeled the tissue, and I went to physical therapy. It hurt so bad, and I went to physical therapy for about 2 weeks, and kept getting treatment after treatment after treatment, and they showed me exercises how to strengthen that area again, and how, I had to rest it for a while. They iced it. I went home and iced and all that stuff. So I do those exercises every time I'm at the gym. Anytime I do upper body, anything. Legs, lower body, I don't do those before that workout, but anything upper body, I do that. And I've been doing it. Well, recently I like to do a lot of exercises that are for injury prevention, because I know about injury. And I use light weights or modest. Some people think what I use is heavy for them, but for me, it's lighter. And I don't go real fast. I don't do high reps, like fast movements. I take lighter weights and I go ultra slow with my movements, keeping constant tension. That's why every workout of mine is extremely intense. It's not extremely intense because I'm yelling and throwing weights around. It's extremely intense because I'm keeping extreme tension. See, the word intense has tension in it. So I'm keeping in tension. That's why it's intense. And constant tension, never relaxing. Okay? So my workouts are very intense. I enjoy them. They make your brain want to explode. It's on a whole different level, but I love it. And so I had a couple days before Friday, I had done a shoulder workout one day, and then another day I was doing a chest workout. And I did 3 exercises that I'm not supposed to do. And I guess so much time's gone by that I felt safe at doing them. But when I was in physical therapy, they said, you will never do these exercises again. And I did them. I wasn't ever supposed to do anything on an incline when it comes to chest presses or when it comes to any type of shoulder movements. And the way I position my hands, anytime I do anything for my chest, if I'm going to do a chest exercise, like on a machine, I got to keep my hands like this instead of like this, like most people do. So I never do bench press, haven't done bench press. I don't do any overhead shoulder movements. I'm not supposed to do any pull downs for my back if my arms go overhead. And I started doing all these things. I didn't start doing bench press, but I take dumbbells and I get on an incline bench and I use dumbbells and press them, and I hold them just like this with my hands like that, which is proper. But I was on an incline. And this particular week, I used 80-pound dumbbells, which I don't usually use that. I used to, but I don't want to chance injury. But, I wanted to just see if I could, how I could do it. It felt really good. I felt strong. I used my super slow, ultra slow movements, constant tension, did the reps, no problem, ultra slow. I'm like, man, I'm still strong. I bet I could still do hundreds easy. And the thing is, I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it till Friday when I was doing an arm workout. After my arm workout, suddenly my chest hurt so bad. But, it was that I retore my labrum, you guys. I got checked out and said, you retore your labrum. You peeled it even deeper. And all that tissue, it does connect into the chest, the ribs. And I'm like, yeah, my ribs, it felt like meat was torn off my ribs. And everything I had experienced also. So, okay, let me just share, and then I'm going to go. So all the symptoms of a heart attack, shortness of breath, hard to breathe, in the rapid heartbeat, in the high pulse, and the blood pressure, and just off the charts. And I was soaking wet. I wasn't like dripping sweat. I was soaking wet and clammy feeling. And well, a sign of a heart attack, you could get clammy hands, which I had, but you drip sweat. I wasn't dripping sweat. I was just wet. I wasn't dripping sweat. I was just wet, So that was something that I found out through this shoulder, finding out it was my shoulder. But my body, what happened was my body had been through trauma from this injury, and it was responding to the trauma. So it felt like a heart attack. I was having every symptom of a heart attack, but it wasn't a heart attack. It's just my body going through trauma, and it was just sending these signals out throughout me. But the pain was intense because I tore up some stuff really terribly in there. So that's it, you guys. There were some of you that seemed to be kind of upset with me. I told you would be. I said, you're going to get upset when you hear this, that I didn't go to a doctor, and I don't want to go to a doctor about the, and there were some people that said, it could still be heart attack issues and stuff like that, arterial or whatever blockages. And no, it was actually, I tore up some stuff in my shoulder and chest and rib area, and it's all connected. So painful. So, I still want to do some inspiring workout videos, of course. I like to make short ones and share things with you. And hey, I make my videos to help be injury free. And even if you do work out injury free, you still can get injuries. Was it my ego that got involved? It probably was. And I don't like ego. But I just took the heavy weight and wanted to try it out. And that was probably my ego. And I probably shouldn't have. I don't know. But I shouldn't have done those exercises that I was doing. Time goes on and you think something's better and it's healed up. And maybe I'll go back. Just like if you think your time goes on, you quit smoking or you quit drinking. And then, years go by and you're like, I bet I could have a drink or a smoke and not get hooked again. And then, boom, you're hooked again. Has anybody been there, done that? Right? So, I'm kind of like comparing it. Like I thought maybe in deep down inside, I'm like, I can do these exercises again. I'm better. Time's gone on and I re-injured it, you guys. So that's it. Just wanted to share it with you, give you a little update on things, answer some questions. I can't think of anything else. Soon I'll be reading another letter that I got on email from someone who wants to share their testimony about how religion has affected them and what they went through and where they are today. So I'm going to get that email printed out so I can get on camera here and read it for you. So maybe tomorrow I'll be able to do that. Anyway, I can't think of anything else. But if you have a story you want to share, write me or send me an email, either or, whichever way you want to do it. And I will read your story here on YouTube. And let me know. Please mention if you please remember, so I don't have to go back and forth. Do you want me to mention your name? Do you want me to mention your first name? Do you want me to mention your first and last name? Do you not want me to mention your name at all? Just maybe the first letter of your name or nothing at all? Just, hey, a person wrote me and this is what they share. Please just be specific with it. And if your name is different, like you live in a different country, I'm in America. So if you're from somewhere else and your name might be difficult to pronounce for me. Like my last name is spelled Lehre. All my life, people called me Michael Lehre. And it's actually pronounced Lehre. That's how we say it, Lehre. So I always had to correct people. So if I were to send my testimony to somebody and they want to know how to pronounce my first name, or Michael is pretty easy. I might put MY-KOLE, Michael, right? Or even COAL, Cole, Michael. Lehre, I would probably put LE dash capital RAY, Lehre, or even LUH, more of a L sound, and Ray. But it is kind of more of a, if you want to get technical, when my dad lived in Germany, his name's Gunther. He said, my name is Gunther Lehre. So that's how they pronounce it there. But anyway, here we just say Lehre. So if you do write me, be specific about, if you want me to mention your name or not, and just share your story. No judgment calls here. I'm not going to be like, people, please pray for this person. I won't try to correct you on your stance or whatever you're at. I just will share your story. All right. We'll be non-biased about this. And so that's it. All right, you guys, I love you. God bless you. Oh yeah. And if you do write, It could be how religion affected you, if you were in religion, non-denominational, whatever it was, even if you were atheist, anything you want, and where you're at today, whether it affected you to where you now have nothing to do with God, you something led you to Christ, whatever it is, right? Share your story. All right, guys, God bless, love you, and we'll see you all next time.